What is going on, guys, and welcome back to LOI Fan TV for another edition of the LOI Transfer Show. Now, in the last video, I set a like target of, I'm not too sure, let's roll it back. So if we can hit, let's say 40 likes, and we'll do one of these videos, transfer videos, every single week. So the like target was 40 likes, and I'll bring you a brand new video. So the fact I'm here right now shows that we hit that goal. And we absolutely smashed it. I think we had nearly 100 likes on that video in the end, which is absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for your fantastic support. If we can keep that going, if we can hit 50 likes on this video, we'll keep up with the weekly updates on all the transfer latest, all the done deals, all the comings and goings from all the Premier Division sides. If you want us to do a little bit of a feature on the First Division as well, let us know in the comments down below. But yeah, 50 likes on this video, and we'll keep the weekly videos coming. Plenty of rumours and stuff going on in this one as well. The last thing I forgot to mention was, if you could please subscribe. It is so appreciated. I think we're less than 100 subscribers away from 3,500. If you could try hit that as soon as possible, be fantastic. I really do appreciate all of your amazing support. So yeah, without further ado, I'll stop waffling on now. We can jump straight into all of the latest transfer updates, rumours, all that good stuff from the League of Ireland Premier Division. Now, we usually do this in alphabetical order, so we will continue in that way. Starting off with, of course, Bohemians. Now, you may have seen the news that broke on Wednesday that the first game of the LOI Premier Division will, apparently, the fixture list hasn't come out yet, but apparently we know one game that it will be, and it will be Bohemians playing host to Shamrock Rovers. But they won't be playing host in Dalymount Park. It is in the Aviva Stadium. Now, I made my feelings very clear on this on social media. If you want to go check out our socials, they're in the description down below. And if you want us to do a little video on it, touching on it maybe, let us know as well. We can go into it a little bit more, and if anyone disagrees with me, you can see my views on it. If you disagree with me, I'd love to get you on to have a nice, respectful conversation, because that's the best way to sort these things out. Open dialogue, sort these things, and just chat through, and we can come to some sort of thing. But listen, it is what it is now. That's going to go ahead, and I suppose we have to probably get behind it now and hope it works out, and it's a good showing for the league and stuff. So yeah, but Bohemians, in terms of their transfer activity, obviously touched on Colin Whelan and Noel Moorhan in the last video. They have made a further addition in the form of John Mountney. They brought him in from recently relegated Dundalk on a multi-year deal. Usually means 2 years. I don't know what they call that, multi-year deal, but a number of teams do that, not to suppose. But John Mountney, obviously 31 years of age now. I think he's had a couple of dodgy injuries in the past. I think he might have done an ACL or something in the last couple of years, and bits and pieces. But he's a fantastic player. I'm really impressed by this, and I think it's refreshing for Bohs fans to see this generally, because I think the last few windows it's been bringing in kind of unproven talents from across the pond. They're from Europe, from the continent, and we don't know what you're going to get from America in some cases as well. You don't know what you're going to get from them. Where with John Mountney, you know exactly what you're going to get every week. I think he started out as a kind of that right midfielder. He's kind of dropped back into a kind of a right back position as the years have gone on, but still only 31. He can offer a lot to this Bohemian side, and more in terms of his leadership, and having that another leader in that dressing room was badly needed. So I think it's a good little pickup for Bohemians. He's won 5 league titles. He's won 4 cups. Most of that with Dundalk. One of the cups was with St. Pat's. But yeah, I think this is a nice pickup for Bohs, and if they keep him fit, he'd be a shoe-in and a lock for that right back position, and really kind of gives them that bit more solidity at the back. So yeah, positive signs for Bohemians in the transfer market so far. We will move on to the Rebels, Cork City. They have made a nice signing. Alex Nolan has joined Cork, newly promoted Cork, recently. Now he obviously comes in from St. Pat's. He played 22 times for Pats last season. A lot of them would have been off the bench, but he did contribute 2 goals for St. Pat's, and he's an interesting player. I think this is a good move for him. He had been linked with kind of Shells and bits and pieces like that. I think maybe he's taking that step down the division a little bit, like in terms of playing for maybe one of the perceived bottom half. You'd imagine Cork will be in the bottom half next season, but you never know. Obviously we saw what Galway did this year, but that kind of perceived bottom half, and where he will get his game, I think that's crucial. It'll be interesting to see how they work it with, because obviously he's kind of a front 3 type player, likes to play off the right hand side or the left hand side, a tricky winger that loves going at people, which is a refreshing thing to see. He doesn't cut back and pass the ball backwards all the time. He really goes at the full back. So I think this is a great move for him, and a great signing for Cork as well. It'll be interesting, as I was saying there, to see how they line up. Obviously Cathal O'Sullivan, an absolute wonder kid coming through at Cork City at the moment. Obviously have the 2 big name strikers in Rory Keating and Sean Maguire. So will they go at like a 4-4-2, 4-2-4, or whatever it is? Will they really go for it, or will they kind of drop Keating into the 10 or something. It's going to be interesting to see how they approach it next season, Cork, but obviously the more options they have, the better in that front department. They will need goals to survive. So I like that pickup for Cork a lot. I think it's a really, really good piece of business for them. Derry City. Now, I think I filmed this video, the first LOI transfer show of this off-season last week, obviously on the Tuesday, and I think as I was editing it, Derry City announced their manager Tiernan Lynch, which is absolutely typical. I think I said in the video, there's going to be stuff happening as soon as I press stop recording this and start editing it. Things are going to pop in and things are going to start happening, and it's probably going to be the same case today as well, with loads of deals going through on the Thursday. But Tiernan Lynch was obviously confirmed as the new manager of Derry City, and it was good to get that done as soon as possible. It's good that they had a target in mind after Higgins left the club, so it's good to get that done as soon as possible, to give him as long as he can to get his squad in place for next season and really start to get to know the players. So a couple of bits and pieces going on at the moment with them. Will Patching is likely to go. I don't think that's a major surprise to anyone. I think he's likely to go back to the UK, probably be a League 1, League 2 team, more than willing to snap him up. Obviously a great player in his day, but his day just wasn't common enough really last season. Obviously it's good stats and things like that, but it went missing at times in games, I found, a lot of times I was watching him. But undoubtedly a good player, and I think maybe going back to home comforts could be the best route for him personally. Some good news for Derry City fans is it's looking a little bit more likely that Brian Maher and Adam O'Reilly could both be convinced to stay. Now Maher is an interesting one. It was kind of rumoured that there was UK interest, there still may be, he still may go, and there was rumours that Rovers would be looking at him, and think obviously they might be looking for someone to replace Leon Poles for next season. We'll get onto that when we touch on them. But yeah, for if they could keep hold of Brian Maher and Adam O'Reilly, it'd be a great start to the window for them. Two players that were instrumental for them last season, and two top League of Ireland talents. It goes without saying. So if they could keep a hold of them, that would be fantastic for Derry City, of course. Now Tiernan Lynch is looking to get his business done a little bit early here. He has one massive target in mind. It is of course Gavin White. I think Dan McDonald was reporting on this, but Gavin White, who has just left Portsmouth in League 1 or Championship now. They're Championships, aren't they? He's left Portsmouth in the Championship, and he's a free agent after that, and he's obviously a Northern Irish international as well. So it looks like Derry City will be one of the front runners for his signature. Obviously 28 years of age, so a good age for him to get a player like that in. It'd be a really solid signing for Derry City. There is interest from Larne, from Linfield, Crusaders, Ballymena United as well, so plenty of interest in his signature. But you'd imagine Derry would be well in the mix there and confident of landing Gavin White. So that'd be a really good start to the campaign if they can keep hold of O'Reilly, they can keep hold of Maher. If Tiernan Lynch can kind of convince them that there's a really big good project going on here and there's things to be excited about and stuff, maybe that'll be the clincher for them. And Gavin White would be a fantastic pickup as well from Pompey. So looking a bit more positive for Derry City after a really disappointing end to the season for their fans. So looking a bit more on the positive side now for them. Speaking of their disappointing end to the season, the team they lost to in the FAI Cup final, Drogheda United, have been relatively quiet so far, as far as I know anyway. I haven't heard a huge amount of rumours of players coming into the side. If you've heard anything for Drogheda, let me know down in the comments below. You'd imagine they might be looking at a couple of the lads who left Bows, maybe a couple of the lads that left Shells, maybe, and then obviously the big one is Franz Perot, whether he will stay. I think he's obviously going to be of interest to a number of League of Ireland sides. There's no surprise there. He's a fantastic striker. Douglas James Taylor, I think we might touch on it. Might be one we touch on every week nearly. I think his contract, his loan contract is to run to next summer, but obviously Walsall will probably look at that in January to maybe recall him, which would be a massive blow for Drogheda. He's been integral. That front pairing has been an absolute handful, so they'd be desperate to keep a hold of him for another few months at least. But some news came out today. Gary Deegan has left the club now, obviously 38 years of age, so was probably he's probably getting towards that retirement age. Maybe he has another year left in him, maybe in the first division, or maybe Cork could pick him up or something, you never know. But yeah, for Gary Deegan, he's been a great servant for Drogheda. I thought he was kind of finished after that stint at Shells. I thought he'd lost his legs, but he's come into Drogheda, played a pivotal role for them in the last few years, been a kind of real beacon of that club in terms of providing his experience, providing in the dressing room more than anything as well. Just been able to provide that for players. He's been a real asset for Drogheda, and it'd be sad to see him go, but I think it's probably the right move to look for it, and that's alternative for him next season. Next up, Galway United, just a few kind of re-signings we touched on last week. Obviously Patrick Hickey, Ed McCarthy, Brendan Clark and the likes have obviously re-signed for Galway, but nothing huge on the cards but just yet by the looks. I think there might have been one or two rumours on Twitter and stuff during the week, but I can't remember them off the top of my head, and it's been quiet enough for Galway on the rumour front as far as I'm aware anyway. But if you've heard anything, let us know down below. Shamrock Rovers, then it's just a real kind of weird one for them in terms of kind of waiting and seeing what happens in their Conference League campaign. They of course are playing Rapid Vienna this evening. There's a video out on our channel if you want to go check it out, the previous video previewing that one, looking at a few of Rapid Vienna's good players, what 11 Bradley will go with, things like that. So if you want to kill some time before kick-off, go check that out. But Shamrock Rovers, it's a tricky one to try and navigate how they go about this, but they have been linked through Dan McDonald once again, obviously a very, very reliable source, that Ed McGinty is of strong interest. Now this is one that I've been touting for years. I've said Shamrock Rovers should be all over this, and when he's returned to Sligo for the last year or two, I've been just begging to ask the question, why aren't Shamrock Rovers, especially after Alan Manis retired? I thought they probably could have got him in on his last season. I think they need to go and get him now. They need to get it done. Liam Poles has improved, don't get me wrong, last couple of months he definitely improved, but I think they need to get that elite League of Ireland level goalkeeper to regain their title next season and to be able to push on in Europe next year as well. So I think Ed McGinty is a no-brainer. Brian Maher maybe as well, if he wanted to move back to Dublin, maybe is definitely an option, but I think one of those two, they need to get a goalkeeper through the door, 100% for me. Obviously the few loans, integral loan players they have, Johnny Kenny, obviously one of their best players this season, got into the team of the year, wasn't young player of the year, that was Melia, but Johnny Kenny was in the team of the season. Obviously I think he was a top goal scorer and stuff as well, so I think they'd be desperate to get him back, although he is potentially looking at different alternative options in the new year, so that'll be interesting whether Celtic probably loan him out to maybe League One. Possibly, I think he might chance his arm with that maybe after a good year with Rovers. I think maybe he wants to test himself in the UK, so I wouldn't be surprised about that. Dara Burns as well, possibly one that could go back to the UK. MK Dons of course, and MK Dons player, so I think I could see him going back. He's a smashing player as well, so I think the time was right for him to potentially go back as well. But that's two big players for Shamrock Rovers to go out and replace. Danny Mandreu, I think the signs are that he could sign on for next season, which would be a huge plus. I think he hasn't really got going since coming back, but it's kind of similar to the Harry Wood situation at Shells. When you kind of join mid-season, you're in pre-season mode and you're just lunged straight back into the proper season, so it's hard to get up to speed fully really. So I expect to see a different Danny Mandreu next season if he stays on with Shamrock Rovers. I expect him to get back to his best. Conor Malley of course as well, Sligo Rovers player now. This is one that they have been linked with, and I believe they've made an offer for his services, but it has been turned down. Conor Malley is under contract for another season at Sligo, so there will be a transfer fee involved. The fees to go to Shamrock Rovers. I think Shells have shown some interest in them as well. So the top two looking to bring Conor Malley in to kind of replenish their midfields a little bit, but remains to be seen. I'd imagine Rovers will go back in. Shamrock Rovers will go back in for Conor Malley, but we shall see on that one. Shelbourne then made their first proper signing of the season in terms of not a re-signing. They brought in Ryan O'Kane, the 21-year-old winger from Dundalk. Now this has Damien Duff written all over it in terms of just a player that has raw ability, raw talent, and can be nurtured into a top Premier Division winger. For me, I think he's a player that could potentially go over to England. I think he's that good. I think he maybe needs to just bulk up a little bit, but just get that little bit of strength about his game and not being pushed off the ball and things like that, and just just being able to manage himself on that pitch in those big games and those big moments. And I think that Duff would be the perfect man to get him going. You see some Dundalk fans giving the poor lad dog's abuse on Twitter and stuff, and it's a bit, it kind of shows what Dundalk was like towards the end of last season. It wasn't the nicest place in the world, so I don't think any player did themselves proper kind of justice really in that side. So I'm excited to see how Ryan O'Kane gets on competing with the wingers that Shells currently have at the club. And speaking of which, Rayan Tulloch, interestingly enough, I think it had been announced that he'd come in on a 1.5-year contract during the summer, and he wasn't in that initial 15 players that Shelbourne had said they had re-signed. So really interesting that that's not the case, but it does look like he will re-sign with the club, but maybe it's just a negotiation thing. Maybe he's looking for a few more quid or something like that. So really interesting situation there with Rayan Tulloch, and but he's expected to re-sign in the next week or so. Then Will Jarvis, Stan McDonald did have a piece in his in his newsletter or whatever it was, transfer newsletter, about how Shelbourne will be looking in the January window about re-signing Will Jarvis. They will look into that, and I don't think it's going to be easy. I think it's going to be a difficult task to prize him out of hole. He might himself might want to stay in the UK as well and test himself. But the Hull manager did come out at the weekend and was kind of scathing of Will Jarvis, and he was kind of was saying that his mentality, his attitude isn't right. And I remember Duff saying a few months ago how Will is like a difficult person to manage, but you need to be able to cope with him and let him do kind of his own thing to get the best out of him. And I think at Hull they probably can't afford to do that, whereas at Shells they probably can, to give him that little bit more of a free rein really, and then he can show what he can do on the pitch all the time. And his game time at Hull has been kind of sporadic at best anyway, so I think a move does make sense from in January, whether it's back to Ireland, who knows. If it is, you'd imagine Shells will be at the front of the queue ready to snap him up, and I think he'd be happy to come back as well. I think he was playing his best football here and he seemed happy as well, so really really interesting. And I think that is the reason why they have been ruled out of the hunt for Danny Grant. Now Danny Grant has been kind of heavily linked to Shells, and I think they might just put that on ice and put all their eggs in the Will Jarvis basket, because they've got O'Kane in, they'll probably get Tulloch back in, and they have Ali Q, and they have a couple of others that can do a job out wide as well. Liam Burt's gone of course as well, but I think they have enough there to maybe be able to take that chance on Jarvis. I think that's the man they want. That's the man they want to get in. So I think they'll potentially put all their eggs in that basket. Whereas if they signed Danny Grant, I think that was a bad sign on the Will Jarvis thing. I don't think they would have gone for Grant and Jarvis. I just don't think it would have made any sense. So does Danny Grant to Shells? Looks like it's a no-go for the moment, unless there's a bit of a U-turn on that one. Richie Tell then as well, he's another one that has been ruled out of a move to Shelbourne according to Dan McDonald as well, which is one of those, you could see it happening, maybe he could, maybe he couldn't. It's just hard to know where his next move is. I think he's in a bad negotiating position, Richie Tell. I think it's just like, what does he offer to teams now, like at this stage of his career? Like, is he a top Premier Division midfielder? He's 33. He doesn't get about the pitches as well as he used to. Like, he probably wants big money. What's next for Richie Tell? Like, I think I know. I'll get on to it. I think I know what's next for him. But it's an interesting one, Richie Tell, isn't it? Let me know what you think down below. Obviously, I just think the fact that Bradley came out and was scathing of him, I don't think many managers would look at that and be like, yeah, we need to get him after that. Like, he could rock the boat, and think they might have that impression that he could rock the boat in the dressing room type thing. So yeah, I don't know. I think the only person that would take him is someone that knows him, and that brings me nicely onto St. Patrick's Athletic. I think Richie Tell will end up a St. Patrick's Athletic player this window. I think Stephen Kenny, on reduced terms from when he was on a Shamrock Rovers, I think Stephen Kenny will take him in, even if it's as a bench option, as a player to come in off the bench or come in for big moments. I think Kenny knows him. Kenny's managed him before. He'll have the utmost respect for Kenny. He won't give Kenny any shite. He won't give him any back chat. I think that could be a good move for all parties there. And there is a player, like, he's not an atrocious footballer all of a sudden. Like, he's still a good player. There's a player to get out of in there. Like, I think he can offer Pat something. And especially with Adam O'Reilly, as I touched on earlier, potentially staying at Derry, I think Kenny could take the plunge on Richie Tell, even as a squad depth type option. I think I definitely could see that. Pats themselves have made a couple of re-signings. Tom Gravosti has re-signed. He's committed to the club, as is Axel Sjoberg as well, the right full. So a couple of nice re-signings to get in there. Tom Gravosti had been linked to Shells, I think, as well, and maybe gone back to the UK, so they'll be delighted to keep a hold of him. Another one as well, Axel Sjoberg obviously is a right back, but they are linked with right backs at the moment as well. It was probably their weak area of the pitch last season. And Dara Power from Waterford, who was one of their players of the season, potentially a shout for right back in the team of the year, has been linked to St. Pat as well, so I wouldn't be overly shocked to see that one happen either. Adam O'Reilly, as I said, he will be constantly being linked with Pats. Barry Bagley is another one that I could see happening at this stage. I think he finishes his loan with Waterford. He returned to Fleetwood Town, and I could see him going to Pats. I think that one could happen, to be honest. I could see that happening, and it shows that Kenny is looking for midfield reinforcements to support Lennon, to support Forrester, to give him more options. I think Towell and Bagley could come in there as those reinforcements, to be honest. Before we finish up on Pats, then just want to touch quickly on Mason Melia. What an achievement, young player of the year, and what a talent this boy is. Now, will he stay at Pats? I think January they could get some offers that could be hard to turn down. I know Brexit is still an issue there, so maybe they might get him back on loan for the season. I could see a team coming in for Mason Melia a big multi-million pound deal and loaning him back to Pats for the season. I think that's potentially the best bet for Pats. If they got £3 million a loan back for the year and 25% sell-on clause or something, I think that's a very, very solid deal. So I think their resolve could be tested this winter with an offer from Mason Media from a big potentially a Premier League side. So we will see how that goes as well. But we will move on to Sligo Rovers. A lot of outs linked for Sligo Rovers. Obviously Ed McGinty's loan has come to an end. I don't expect him to go back to Sligo Rovers. I expect him to kind of maybe step on in his career a little bit and move somewhere else. Maybe, as we touched on, Shamrock Rovers seems like a good fit. Conor Malley, as he touched on as well, Shamrock Rovers and Shells both interested. He is still under contract and he's doing a lot of the press work with the jerseys and stuff like that, so he could stay, definitely could stay. Ellis Chapman as well is another one that's been linked to Shells and Shamrock Rovers and bits and pieces as well. Obviously I'm not sure if he made the team of the year in the end, but he was very, very close, if not. Fantastic player, and I could see him at Shells. I think I'd love my Shells from a neutral point of view now, but I think I could see him at Shells potentially. But yeah, a lot of outs for Derry City now, for Sligo Rovers rather, sorry. And I was only thinking about who are they going to get in. I think Paddy Kirk makes sense, and I was thinking a couple of the Bows lads that have left. I think Danny Grant could find his way over there maybe if a few of them go. A couple of the Dublin-based lads go. I think he could fancy that one as well to get him back on track. I think that could be a really good fit for him. Maybe James Akintunde could find himself out there as well. Obviously he's been in Derry before, so he's not averse to living in not in Dublin pretty much. So yeah, I think there's a couple of them. Maybe Brian McManus possibly. Shells lads that have left. Maybe a Liam Burt. I think Sligo, there's a lot of options there for them in terms of players that haven't found the club yet. That they could get in and really get them going again. So yeah, I think Sligo have a couple of exciting weeks coming up. None of those players I've actually heard any substantial rumours on. I haven't heard anything concrete on that. I'm just kind of riffing really, to be fair, but I could see a couple of those potentially making their way to the showgrounds. And finally, we do have Waterford FC. Now, they have made the Sam Glenfield deal permanent. His loan expired from Fleetwood Town, but he is signed back for Waterford on a multi-year deal, and Waterford fans are delighted with that. Box-to-box midfielder scored 2 goals in 10 games last season. The 2 goals came against Bohemians in different matches, but both against Bohemians. They have also confirmed the re-signing of Rowan MacDonald, the hard-tackling central defensive midfielder. Their number 6. I think he's a good little pickup as well to get him back in the club for next season. Good signing. But a couple of concerning ones. Our Sam Sargent has left the club, which is a huge blow. Obviously he was a fantastic keeper for them last season, and it's a big hole to fill. Sam Sargent, it's a shame for Waterford fans. They're kind of disappointed with that one, but I could just absolutely see a certain goalkeeper going there, someone that Keith Long has worked with previously, and his name is James Talbot, and that just makes sense for everyone involved. I think Kasper Czoroska is Bows' number 1 goalkeeper. James Talbot is too good to sit on the bench, simply too good. And he was getting a couple of games towards the end of last season, so he's back to his best. I know he was struggling with a couple of mental health issues and stuff, so it's great to see him back playing his football. And I think a move to Waterford, maybe playing back with Keith Long, who I think as far as I know, they had a really good relationship when they worked together previously. So I think James Talbot to Waterford is a great move for all parties, and I'd love to see him get back to his best in the League of Ireland Premier Division, because he is an outstanding goalkeeper. Obviously it wasn't long ago he was in Ireland squads and bits and pieces, so yeah, I think that's a good move for all involved and a perfect replacement for Sam Sargent. Well guys, there you have it, the latest ins and outs, rumours, everything from the LOI Premier Division. I hope you did enjoy the video. If I missed out on anything or you've heard any rumours that I didn't catch up on in this video, make sure to let me know down in the comments below, and we'll try and feature some in the next episode. But if you did enjoy, please do drop a like down below. It is much appreciated. 50 likes and this will be back again next week, and please do subscribe. Nearly at that 3,500 mark. That'd be fantastic to hit that as soon as possible. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you in a little bit.